So this is in Afghanistan, and this is in early '03, and we're way up north in Kunar province. And we think at the time that we have some fairly good information that bin Laden may be in the area. Certainly that Hekmatyar, senior, who's an affiliate of bin Laden, was certainly in the area. So we couldn't just leave. And on either side, we've got mountains, 7,000 feet, 17,000 feet tall with snow on the top. And there is one narrow dirt road that goes north and south on this road. And we were the tip of the spear. We were at the very front, and we stopped and we established a camp for a while. And we were running out of gas and we were running out of food. And the military said, "Well, we'll come up." And they came out of Asadabad, and they drove up in a convoy and they dropped off, pogey bait and food, and we had more gas. And as they went back, they hit an IED, and a particular vehicle went over. A guy I was talking to an hour before lost, his leg was, he lost his leg. Nobody was killed in this. And then the next day, some Afghans come in and they've got an IED, and they say, "Hey, we dug this up to the road to the north of you." So we've got IEDs to the north and we've got an IED to the south. We're being bracketed by these command detonated IEDs. And it's like, so there's a bomb maker out there. Who is he and how do we stop him? We can't leave, but I don't want to drive over one of these things, right? And it gets complicated. And I won't go into the back and forth of it, but we figured out who the bomb maker was through people telling us, right? We had informants. So we knew his name, but of course, what do you need? You need to know, you need to be able to place him in time and space. Like at this time, at that 10-digit grid code, then you can affect his capture possibly, right? Name doesn't help you much. And so it's 10 o'clock at night. We're sitting around a campfire. We're in this hooch that looks like the Alamo, one of these Afghan fortresses that we'd rented. It's called. And one of the guards comes in. He says, "Hey, I'm running this clown show, and there's a few agency officers, some special forces guys, and it's on an intelligence gathering mission, and I'm in charge because I've got 500 grand in a bag, right? Just like, and they're only our special forces guys are great, but their job is to get involved if it's kinetic, but only if it's kinetic, because we're not there to do shooting. We're there to collect intelligence, but it's in a dangerous place. So we depend on them if things go bad. The agency guys, you don't want us with guns, right? We carry them, they look good on us, but we like, if things go bad, our job is to cower behind a wall and let the pros do the job. And when it comes down to drinking tea with the graybeards and, looking for information, that's our job. So this guy comes in, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and he sits down, we search him, he sits down, and he's wearing a pakul, and he's got a gray beard, and he's hunched on the ground, and we're all drinking tea, and he says, I'll make it short, he says, "I know who the bomb maker is, and I can give him to you. I can place him in time and space for you tomorrow." I'm like, great. All right. And he gave us his name. He gave us background information that we already knew. So it was like, okay, this guy, he's not making this up. So then the question, of course, is, well, what do you want for this information? And because he's not our friend, right? This guy just wandered in. He's an Afghan tribesman. And he says, yeah, there is something you want. He says, do you want money? Do you want a visa? Do you want cows? Do you want guns? What do you want? And he says, "I don't want anything tangible. What I want from you is I want your word. I want you to swear on the eyes of your children that if you find this guy, that you'll kill him, that you won't take him alive. I want him dead." Like, interesting. Why? Of course, the next question. Because he's my son-in-law. Like, okay, explain. And he says, well, he's my son-in-law, but he comes from a strong clan. I'm from a weak clan, so I can't kill him. And basically, he's married to my daughter only because he basically caught her out. She's a beautiful young woman. He caught her out while she was herding our flock, and he raped her. And then he told everyone that she was no longer marriageable because she's no longer a virgin. He says, came to me and said, "Old man, you didn't protect your daughter, but I'm willing to marry her, but no bride price. I'm not paying for her. She's damaged goods." And he says, this is our culture. It's like she needs a male to protect her, and they're a wealthy clan. What could I do? Right. And so I said, okay. He says, he's not Al Qaeda. He's an electrical engineer, studied in Pakistan. That's how he can make the bombs so well, these IEDs. And he said, he's beating the shit out of my daughter. He says, but she's not pregnant yet. And if he dies as a widow, she can remarry whoever she wants, and she gets part of his, as a widow, she keeps part of his wealth. And she can come back home and live a good life and find somebody. And he's telling her that he's thinking of basically doing the same thing to her sister, taking her as a second wife, basically catching her and raping her and marrying her. And he says, I want him dead. He says, but I can't do it because that'll create a blood feud. But if you do. So now you're sitting there and thinking, well, I don't remember this scenario with the farm, right? It's like, okay, where's the book where I open this up, right? And he's saying, like, this is that by now it's, 11:30 in the evening, it's time to go. And he's like, yes or no. So there's no like, let me get a rabbi, let me talk to a priest, let me talk to a lawyer. It's like, yes or no, dude, because I'm leaving, right? So, let me ask you, we're having this conversation, or I'm doing most of the talking. So now what would you do?
I'd kill him. If the guy, well, let me ask you this. If
People in the audience should think what they should do, but go ahead.
If the guy is,
it's a true story.
Okay, true story. He's setting up bombs. Are they specifically to kill Americans?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm killing him.
Well, okay, I'll play the devil's advocate.
Okay.
How do you know this guy's telling you the truth? What have you done to vet what he has to say other than like he knows the name? This guy is asking you to be his contract killer. He's asking you to murder somebody. And what's more, under the, for the military folks out there, under our rules of engagement, if that guy puts his hands up in the air, right, it's against the law to kill him. It's a war crime. He's asking you to commit a war crime. So, but also think about this. If you take him prisoner, the bomb maker is going to sit in jail and go, how did they know my father-in-law knew where I was, right? So I'm going to fucking kill my father-in-law. I'm going to torture him to death. I'm going to shoot. So this is not a win. This is a lose. Right?
I think the one thing that as you're talking that got me thinking about this, my initial visceral reaction is I'm going to kill him. But the one thing that getting back to my law enforcement experience, what I'm thinking about is, you're right. How do you know the story's true? How do you verify the story? And I don't know if you can, right?
You can partially verify it.
Right.
But on the other hand, you don't want to die. And you don't want your friends to die.
Right.
Right? And I'll tell you what, my spider sense told me he's telling the truth. I couldn't prove it, but yeah, he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Or at least mostly true. So I'll tell you what I did.
Yeah.
I lied to him. I looked that old man right in the eye. I put my hand on my heart and I swore up and down that I would kill him. And then I talked to the SEAL team guys. They're like, I don't care what you swore. Like, if he puts his hands in the air, we can't shoot him. I'm like, I know. It's something I have to live with. So yeah. So, okay. So, so as a sea officer, did I manipulate him? Did he manipulate me? Did I lie? Did I lie was it a white lie, a black lie? So I'll wrap it up. And yeah, we captured the guy. It was true. Everything he said.
Wow.
And he was where he said. And not only that, just to tell you how cool we CIA guys are, it was this hut built into the side of a hill. So half of it was in this sort of rock, it had been chiseled out of this hill. And so they kicked the door in, guy was there, they took him out. It was him. And he had his little bomb factory in there. And they look around and they're like, okay. And I'm hiding behind a wall, right? This is my it's like, I am, literally, right? I'm a terrible shot. And so I'm hiding behind a wall and it's like, okay. And so, I'm there. And so I walk into the hut and there was on the far wall was this blanket for half the wall and it was carved into the thing. And I pulled the blanket apart and there was a crawl space in there and I could see there was stuff in there. And I went to stick my hand in and the next thing I know, one of the SEALs takes his rifle and he like whacks my arm down and says, don't you fucking put your hand in there. It's like, we haven't cleared that space yet. And he's like, there could be an ID. You could stick your hand in there and kill us all. I'm like, oh, fuck? He says, never stick an appendage into anything unless you know where it's been. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get the double entendre here, but like, and so, then they took a flashlight and they looked in there and he had all his bomb making material in there for his IEDs. And no, he didn't have a booby trap, but he could have.
Yeah.
Right. And it's realized, okay, so I'm an intelligence officer, but I'm in their, the special forces, I'm in their world, doing my thing in their world. And so what I came away with that from was that things work really well when we work together. And, you can quote Goethe or Schopenhauer, but I like to quote Ghostbusters, it's like never cross your streams, right? It's like bad things will happen. So stay in your lane. The lanes can be really close together, but use your expertise for what you're good at and let them use their expertise for what they're good at. And I think the same goes for this podcast. The same goes too for law enforcement. The agency, we're good at some things and we're not good at others because that's not our mission. It's not what we work at. And in fact, I think we'd be lousy DEA officers because, rules of evidence and chain of custody things aren't really what we do. Right? So, because we're looking for foreign intelligence and there was no, I couldn't convict the guy in a court of law, right? It's like, I had to bring the old man in front of the judge and go, this is what he said. This is why. It's like, it wouldn't work.
Right.
But this isn't a court of law. The bombs were there. He was there. We took him off to, Poly-Charki in Afghanistan in prison there. So I had no idea what happened to him afterwards.
What's any blowback on the father-in-law at all?
You know what? No fucking idea.
Yeah.
That's one of the other things is like movies, they always have like it's like, here's what happened afterwards. Like,
right.
I have no idea. So I'm telling the story, and this also tells you or gives you a sense of the moral quandaries involved. Did I do the right thing? To this day, I still don't know, right? And the fact that I can even think of the story and tell you the story tells me that I'm not comfortable or happy with the outcome. I don't know if I did the right thing. I'll never know. There may not be a right answer. There was just the best answer I had with the information I had at the time, with the mission I needed to carry out, right? And so, and you do the best, you do the best you can with what you got. And often that's incomplete. And so that so that's one of the exhilarating and at the same time awful things about being an intelligence officer, certainly CIA doing that kind of thing. But you want people who are comfortable with ambiguity doing that kind of thing. And people who understand why, hopefully it's for a greater good, not for, for anything nefarious. And you don't want somebody who's too happy and confident afterwards, right? Because you may not have made the right decision. You need to think about it. Tell that story and have somebody else think about it. And right. So we're never really sure.
It's an amazing story. I'm still mulling it over in my head as you're telling the story. It's just like
welcome to the world of the agency, right? But to be clear, that's like doesn't happen all the time. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So the farm doesn't teach that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It teaches how to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.